You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast, powered by RAGBRAI. This is the award-winning podcast where we are all about the culture of cycling, just for the fun of it. Your hosts are Murph from the Murphology podcast and AP from ParrotTalk. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now here is Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
Hey, that's me. Well, hello, Murph.
Hello, AP. How's it going?
Oh, wonderful. We are in the fabulous fall here in Des Moines, and I can look out my window at ParrotTalk Studios and see fantastic colors.
Oh, that is awesome. And I am not in ParrotTalk Studios this week, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. I'm trying not to cry, so if you hear me holding back sobs, it's because we have to be apart, which is...
Did you at least bring a pet with you for a recording?
I didn't. I have nothing except for this cold can of Diet Mountain Dew to keep me company.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
So I'm in my studio in Cedar Rapids, and it is awfully lonely here as well.
Well, look, we'll have to record together again soon. Oh, I know. On November 8th, we are going to have the logo release party, and we'll be there together. So only a few more days, and I'll see you again.
There you go. Yeah.
The dynamic duo.
If you're listening to this podcast before November 8th, 2025, either come to Des Moines and we're throwing a little party when we launch the new logo, or I believe we will be Facebook Living it. Is that correct, AP?
That is correct. I'm going to do it myself, so You'll see my handiwork. If something messes up, blame Murph, though.
Oh, awesome. Thanks.
Yeah. I'm joking. Yeah, so it's going to be great. We're going to launch both the logo for RAGBRAI 53 and we're going to release the jersey. So that's kind of cool. That's something we don't always do to release both of them at the same time. But I'll tell you, it's a good looking jersey. So I'm excited to share it with the world.
And I believe I saw either on social media or maybe it's in these questions that we're going to talk about in a second. But somebody asked if the new jersey had the route on it. And I feel confident it does not, because at this very moment, Matt's still working on the route. Is that true?
That is true. Matt is in a truck somewhere in Iowa scouting the route as we speak.
Aha.
So no, the jersey does not have the route on it because there would be some blanks and that would be a weird looking jersey. So
can you imagine? That would be very weird.
Yeah. I saw on the RAGBRAI 53 fan page that someone had posted a fake logo that they had allegedly found on our website.
I saw that.
And the rider was going backwards. The river was in the middle.
There were rats or mice.
My favorite part were the rats on bikes. There's a beer and a pizza. I mean, it was a fun logo, but the year that we have a rat theme, I think, is probably going to be my last year at RAGBRAI.
Oh, no, the year of the rat.
Year of the rat. Actually, that's funny because that is my Chinese zodiac, I think, or maybe it's the pig. But anyway, we're looking forward to sharing the logo with the world. I love the logo launch because nobody tries to get the logo out of me, even though I definitely know what the logo looks like. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that out of you all because I'd probably tell you. So Saturday, I get to tell you.
So note to self, everybody keep that in mind next time you see AP in the future, like another year.
Okay. Yeah. Next October.
Get the logo out of her.
You can try to get the logo out of me. Yeah. That's why they specifically do not tell me the route, even though everyone else gets to find out ahead of time because look, know your strengths.
That's awesome.
Before we started recording, we were just talking about how no one's perfect. And that's one of my problems.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
All right.
I'll tell you. So, all right. Anyway, you want to get down to it this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
For this week's episode? Yeah. So this week is a Parrot Talk, and that means that this episode is a little different. Usually most episodes are the format where Murph does an interview with somebody cool from the cycling community or someone in the cycling world.
Yep.
But this episode, I'm going to interview Murph, or we're going to talk together about our October town hall because we got a lot of cool questions for that town hall. And we thought this would be a nice way to address some of the ones that either weren't addressed during the town hall or we could dive in a little deeper and discuss with a little bit more depth than we were allowed to. Just we didn't have time during the town hall.
Sure. We get comments constantly about first-time riders or riders who have, sometimes I would call them newbie questions, but we get them all the time. So hopefully you listeners who have been doing RAGBRAI for a long time still can tune into episodes like this, because it's information that you may be curious about, you may already know, or you may not know.
Right. Or if you have a new writer in your life, and I hope you do, if you have someone who you've recruited to come on RAGBRAI, sometimes it's hard to know what people might need to know on their first RAGBRAI if you've done it many times, because it all just seems habit to you. So hopefully this will be something in your back pocket where you could help a new writer. So,
okay. So first question before you start this Parrot Talk is, what exactly is a town hall and when did it occur?
Sure. A town hall is something that we do at RAGBRAI, again, to help new writers or just sort of get returning writers into the spirit of RAGBRAI. And it's a virtual meeting where the whole RAGBRAI team comes online and we do a little presentation about whatever is pertinent that month. October it was our first one since RAGBRAI happened in July. So it was more of like a RAGBRAI 52 wrap up and then looking ahead to 53. And we do that little presentation and then we open it up for questions. Completely free, anyone can join. We do have a registration, but that's because of the software system. It allows you to ask questions either before or during the program, but there's no cost or anything. We don't do anything with like your email address, or we're not creepy about it, but it just is, it's a nice way to ask questions. And we do usually get quite a few questions, which is really cool. That's the whole point, is to make sure that we're communicating with the writers and that we help everybody feel all set for their ride in July, which of course is a while away, but there's all sorts of stuff happening between then and now.
Yeah.
So they're always, almost always the second Thursday night in the month. So we have a November one coming up, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit later.
And so I was traveling when the October Town Hall took place. And we're going to talk about some of the questions that the writers had, but is there a place that I can go to actually watch this town hall?
Absolutely. Immediately after the town hall ends, I upload them directly to YouTube. So you can find them on the RAGBRAI YouTube channel. And I believe it's RAGBRAI Iowa is the YouTube channel. So you can just look that up in the search bar and put RAGBRAI Town Hall and it'll come right up. Or you can find it. I link it on our social media as well. So you can find it there. But yeah, you can go back all the way through last year, although a lot of the news will be from last year. But to just kind of get a general idea of, what the RAGBRAI preparation process might be like, those are there for you on our page.
Sure. Okay. So everybody can go look at previous town halls, but not right now. Because right now you are focused on Just Go Bike, Murph and AP, talking about rider questions. So, all right, let's get to it.
Yeah. So, obviously it's very lucky that we get more questions that we can answer during a town hall. It's nice to answer them here. But if you have other burning questions that you forgot to ask during the town hall, or if something comes to mind while we're talking, send us an email at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com and we will answer your question. All right. So with that being said, here we go. The first question is, could the last day of RAGBRAI be fewer miles so that people could get to their shuttles if they're going across the state?
Oh my gosh. This is funny because before I worked with you guys so closely, I used to think that the ride director intentionally made the first segment of the morning and the last segment of the day as long as possible as far as the number of miles, because I'm like, they want us to get up early and get going. So I guess, I've got to go to bed early. And then also they don't want us to stick around this last town, which is so funny to think about that now, because there's so much work that goes into figuring out the route. And I'm sure, unfortunately for Matt, there's only so many towns along the west and east coast of Iowa.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I will tell you, there's no one thing more on Matt's mind. Okay, number one is safety, but number two on that last day is, can we get people to the river in a timely manner? Because there are shuttles and there are people who need to be there at certain times.
Right.
But like you said, there are only so many river towns that are able to host RAGBRAI that last week in July. They have events going on, they have construction, there's limitations due to where else we've been on the route. So sometimes there's no choice as far as, exactly where we can take the route on that last day, especially in some of these river towns, there's only one way in and one way out.
Yeah.
So you have to use one of those ways in for the bikes and one of those ways in for the cars. Well, there's your options. So,
Right.
Sometimes Matt has to kind of finagle it with that in mind. So there's all sorts of different elements, and sometimes you end up with a 60-mile last day, and sometimes you get a nice short 30-mile last day. So it just really depends on the year.
But go ahead.
But above all, remember that Matt knows that this is an issue for people, and he is trying to make it shorter if possible. But, sometimes it is what it is.
All right. Okay. Next question is, can you please explain how the refund policy works?
We have a couple different options for you with our refund policy and with wristband insurance and transfers. All those policies are a little bit different this year. We worked hard. Erica worked really hard to make sure that it was as fair and helpful as possible for riders this year. And we have a couple nice new upgrades that hopefully you'll like as far as the refund process, the wristband transfer process, trying to get you as much of your money back as possible while still covering our operational costs that we incur as we get ready for the ride and we plan for the ride in X number of people. So you can go to RAGBRAI.com and find that information, or you can watch the November Town Hall. We're going to cover it there. And actually, we also covered it in October. So a couple different options. And then I believe that Erica and Aaron covered it in their episode of the Just Go Bike podcast a couple episodes ago. So you have a couple different ways to go over it. I don't want to explain it here because it is a little bit complicated and I don't want to mess it up. And I don't want to be talking about refunds for 10 minutes. So, but there's all sorts of different places you can find that information.
Okay, cool.
Next question. What does a charter typically provide?
Ooh,
this is
that's
a good question.
One. Yeah. I'll give you my answer and then you can give the rest of the answer, I guess.
Okay.
But the nice thing about charters, so let me back up a step. When you register for RAGBRAI, you're registering to have the RAGBRAI semi-trailers haul your gear from town to town, overnight town to overnight town. And then most people, this is a camping event, so most people camp. So if you want to elevate that experience, in addition to your registration, you can pay a charter service to provide you an upgrade to that experience. From there, it really depends on A, the charter, B, how much you want to spend, and C, what's available. So I don't think the charters change a ton from year to year, but you can just have them haul your gear and you have kind of a dedicated space that charter camps at. Especially if you're a solo rider, it'd be kind of fun because then you're all in one space. Maybe you're listening to a band or something at your charter. You can make a lot of friends, but you can escalate that to the point where maybe you're using their tents. They're putting up a tent for you. They're putting an air mattress in the tent. Then you're camping. Or you could probably go as high as they transfer you to a hotel if they're available. Or they have these semi-trailers that they have turned into little teeny cabins. They have air conditioning. I don't think very many of them, if any, have running water in the cabins, but it's just a way to not have to sleep on the ground. But the nice thing is there is a resource at RAGBRAI.com where you can start reviewing all the charters and see maybe where your financial status and what sort of pampering you want.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Basically, a charter is a service that you can purchase in addition to your RAGBRAI wristband to just have those little extra niceties. And I think for me, the difference between a charter and a team is that a charter has a designated person who will not be riding and is there to help you, either to set up your tent or to bring out a cooler of beverages or even just mark off an area where your camping will be, haul baggage, stuff like that. Where on a team, you're probably in a bus or an RV with a group of friends, and probably you're going to be rotating in and out. You may not have a dedicated driver. You may each have a shift driving or things like that. So it's just a little bit more casual with the team. RAGBRAI has expanded their charter service over the last couple of years. So there's a lot of options now. Really any kind of combination of needs that you might have. And the one thing that we didn't mention so far is that charters also sometimes offer a ride to the start of RAGBRAI or from the end of RAGBRAI. So that's a huge benefit as well. So like Murph said, I would definitely recommend going to the website, checking out I think it's just ragbrai.com/charters, and you can find out about all of them.
Cool. And then also, if you're on Facebook, to go to those fan pages, because a lot of times people will also ask, like, what's your favorite charter? And then you'll get all kinds of responses on what people really like or don't like. But it is, if you have the money, it is pretty nice to walk into camp and your tent's already up and all you do is grab a Gatorade or a beer and sit down and chat with people. It's definitely an elevated experience. People who have listened to this podcast for years will know that my family and I rode with Bicyclists of Iowa City Charter, and my family still does. It was really beneficial for someone who, like my mom and dad, who were bringing kids. Just because it kind of kept a smaller environment in somewhere where if we were separated, I know I could go every day as a kid without a cell phone. This was in like the dark ages, but it was easy to find. And, even if we got separated, we'd be reunited. It's also a great way for a newbie to meet people because you kind of have a built-in group that you get to hang out with. So. Okay. So I have a question that kind of goes along with lodging and campgrounds, so I'll ask that one next. It says, my main questions involve an overview of lodging options with RVs and other lodging options besides bringing my own tent.
Ooh, good one. That's a very good one.
Yeah. And before you answer this, AP, I want to make sure everyone knows that for the most part, RAGBRAI is a camping event. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. Most people camp, but there are some people who take advantage of other options. For example, if you have a CPAP machine, you might need something else like an RV. So there are some other options. An RV is a great option, but you need a driver. Obviously, we do not provide a driver. We do not provide the RV.
Right.
So those are resources that you'll have to come up with yourself to do that. Generally, in the overnight towns, they have a separate RV campground, so the generators are separated away from people who are tent camping. And the RV drivers there's a vehicle route they'll take every day so that the driver could follow it. That's probably all I have to say about RVs. The other main option that there is besides tent camping, again, the most popular option is tent camping, but the other lodging option would be to be paired with a host in the overnight town, someone who lives in the overnight town and is opening their yard or their home to campers. It's a cool option if you can get connected with people, but there is absolutely no guarantee that there will be hosts enough for everyone who wants them.
Right.
That's because we have to rely on people opening their homes to riders, and you just never know how many people are going to be available depending on the size of the town. Depending on, the resources that they have. It's possible they need to go volunteer all day and they can't open their house. So, that's a big what if. But if you do want to try that option, usually towns will set up Facebook pages where you can make a post and be matched with a host. And that would be usually around the April timeframe. So you have to wait. You can't find it now. Obviously, we don't know that overnight town, so the host homes aren't open yet.
Right. And it's completely volunteer. If the host towns we announce the overnight towns, and then it'd be like if you lived in whatever town we come to, do you want complete strangers in spandex coming into your home, overusing your bathroom, everybody showering? Some people really enjoy that. Some people do not.
Yeah.
So it's really up to the towns whether or not there are going to be a variety of host options.
Yeah. There's one complication with staying at a host home, and that is if you don't have a support driver, you need to get your gear to the host home and then back to the luggage truck. So do keep that in consideration when you're making your plans. I have had excellent experiences with a host home where they took us on a boat ride or they served us a meal all the way down to they let us sleep in their basement and that's it. But it was wonderful because it was cold.
Right.
Or I've gotten to a host home and the person wasn't there and they forgot they were hosting us. So it's kind of an adventure on top of an adventure. You never know exactly what you're going to get, but it is a nice way to meet people from Iowa if you're not from Iowa or if you haven't been to that town before.
Yep. And then I want to say one more thing about the RVs, because there may be people listening that have an RV and they're like, well, that's a great idea. Let's get, so-and-so who's retired to drive us, and then we'll just RV it all week.
Yeah.
Keep in mind the overnight towns, right, which have not been decided yet, but wherever they are, most likely in the town, there will not be an RV lot that's already has electricity and dump sites and all of that.
Oh, yes.
So the exception is Forest City, right? Because of the home of Winnebago. We were pretty spoiled that time.
Yes, we were.
For the most part, the town will designate some sort of space for RVs so that in theory it's going to be flat, but there probably won't be a place to plug in. So you'll have to keep that in mind as you're deciding what you want to do for RAGBRAI. If you must be in air conditioning or have the access to electricity, make sure that you think that through.
Yeah. And I know this is a lot of options that could be confusing to a new rider. I say rely heavily on people that ride RAGBRAI. They'll give you great advice, or you can find these fan pages on Facebook just by searching RAGBRAI and get great advice there as well. Mm-hmm. Or, of course, like I said, you're always welcome to ask us questions. You have plenty of time to figure it out, plenty of time to research all the different options. So
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so you want to ask a question or shall I?
Yeah, I'll ask the next one.
Okay.
Will the Air Force cycling team be participating in RAGBRAI 53?
Ooh.
Their participation was greatly appreciated on this year's ride. I agree greatly.
Yes, I think the answer is yes and yes. They'll definitely be back for 2026. They're going to be riding. And for those of you who don't know what the Air Force cycling team does for RAGBRAI, basically they ride the route just like everyone else, but if they see someone on the side of the road who has a mechanical issue with their bicycle, they'll stop and do anything in their power to help fix it, whether it be a flat or a drop chain or something like that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they can't work magic, but it's pretty darn close.
Yeah, I loved the fact that, I didn't have any mechanical issues, but I would see, somebody with a flat, they would pull over off the road into the shoulder, and it would be like magic. Like I'd snap my fingers and there's a couple Air Force people that were right there to help them.
It's a really cool deal, and we thank them for everything that they do for RAGBRAI riders. It's so amazing. It's so nice that they're able to be there with the supplies and the help. Sometimes you just need someone to be there to support you as you change your tire, and they provide that. So, thanks to the Air Force.
Okay.
All right. I think my next question is going to be a broad one. What are your top recommendations for first timers? We kind of covered that a little bit with the camping, but I want to hear what else you got.
My top recommendations would be to utilize ragbrai.com. There's so much information. You go to ragbrai.com, and then along the top, first you should click on the Just Go Bike link and just check out all the stuff that we do for the podcast. But there's so many other, drop downs. You can look at charters. You can look at what you should pack. You can look at pretty much. You can look at previous routes. You can look at pretty much anything that you can think of that's RAGBRAI connected.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mine is my top tip would be less about mental preparation and more about physical preparation. I want to encourage people to eat and drink more than they think they need before RAGBRAI even starts. You can start hydrating maybe 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, drinking an extra glass of water per day, extra Gatorade per day, something like that, to just sort of start getting ready for it, because the first day of RAGBRAI, it's so easy to fall behind on your eating and drinking. And this has happened to me even in the last couple of years, where you think you're doing good, and at the end of the day, you just crash because you don't have enough calories in your system or you haven't drank enough. So that first day of your riding, you really have to eat and drink more than you even really feel like you need. Like, you're not hungry, but eat another burger or some kind of protein, some kind of carb to help boost yourself, because your metabolism is going to skyrocket, and you can't quite predict or me, a layperson, cannot predict when that's going to happen. So you just need to be prepared for it and start stocking up and eat extra. And make sure you always carry a snack with you. I paused because I was remembering a time when I was about to pass out from being hungry, and Murph had a snack in her bike bag that she let me eat, and I will never forget that. So make sure you carry your snacks. Make sure you replenish that snack supply as you go on through the week, and you're actually eating them. RAGBRAI is not the time to lose weight. It's not the time to go on a crash course diet.
Right.
You fuel yourself, deal with your weight loss goals later, is my advice. So
Right. And knowing that it's a 7-day ride. So if you're dehydrated on day 1, you're only going to make it worse as the week goes on. So
that's right.
That's great advice, AP. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, we have all sorts of other advice, but we'll be talking about it on the podcast as we get closer to the ride. So keep listening.
For sure. Yeah. And so this is a good segue because you just spoke about eating and drinking enough. Somebody asked, will there be any plant-based food options in each town?
Well, that's a good question. Each town organizes its own food vendors. So the answer is likely yes, but it's not for certain. Well, I'll say there's probably always going to be corn on the cob, but that won't fuel you across Iowa completely. So if you are someone who eats a plant-based diet, make sure that you bring supplemental food to ensure that you have enough calorie and protein throughout the week.
Yeah, I think the key to what you just said is that once these towns are announced, it's up to them on who they choose for vendors. There are a lot of vendors that are on the route all week long, but those vendors talk to the community and decide where they're going to be each day, those sorts of things. So, like it's not decided ahead of time, the food options. Those are decided as the volunteers coordinate with various food vendors.
Yeah, there's certainly demand for plant-based food options on RAGBRAI. We hear the question quite a bit, and the vendors know that. So we've had more over the years, but you can't necessarily predict ahead of time where they're going to be unless you know who those vendors are ahead of time and you can communicate with them. So I just caution you to be careful if you have dietary needs or restrictions or requirements or anything like that where you would want to make sure that you stick to a certain diet. Just be sure that you have some extras with you. Of course, we're not going that far away from civilization. We're going to communities. You'll be able to access grocery stores and things like that.
Oh, sure.
It's just not certain when you'll be able to access those. So just be careful and make sure you stock up so that you can have a fun time and not have to worry about, if you found enough food all the time.
Right. Okay, I think I have a good last one.
Okay.
And I'm so curious. If Matt was sitting with us, I'm so curious what he would say, but now I'm curious about what you would say. So the question is, have you ever considered having a 5K run during RAGBRAI? Maybe get one of the overnight towns to host it some evening.
Okay, this is a hilarious question because the person who works at the meat counter in my local fairway does this. And I talk to him about it pretty much every time I see him, where he will ride his RAGBRAI day, but he's training for a triathlon. And so he'll go out and run every night and do his own 5K.
No way.
And this is insane. First of all, insane, because nobody needs that much exercise, I guess, unless you are training for a triathlon. So more power to you. Do I ever think that we'll organize this officially? No, because it's enough work to make sure that all the thousands of people that ride RAGBRAI on a bicycle are doing it safely and can get all the way through the course. So we're focused on that. We're probably not going to be doing a 5K in addition to it. However, I will say when RAGBRAI ends in Davenport, that it's always because of timing the same day as the Bix Marathon. And I think they may even have a 5K. So it's possible there's other events going on in the town where there will be a 5K. Just because it's summertime and there's a lot going on.
Sure, yeah.
But I don't think that RAGBRAI will ever officially host a 5K during RAGBRAI.
So, yeah, I was going to say RAGBRAI already does, dare I say, I'm not going to say dozens because it's more like 50 or 60 events that week. If you think about every single
That's right.
pass-through town, every lunch town, every overnight town, there's a lot of events going on. So to add one more might not seem like a big deal, but man, to organize, to get roads available for a 5K. But with that said, like you said, if some town or maybe your fairway guy wants to run with other people, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that would be
happen.
great. Yeah, I understand if you need, a lot of exercise for your goals, that's certainly possible that there are multiple people out there. You do see people running.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell if they've ridden RAGBRAI unless they're super sunburnt. But you'll see them out there in the campground jogging around and, hopefully hitting their goals and all that. But
I think mentally, once I'm off the bike and showered, I don't know that I could actually put on the running shoes and go. Although sometimes I end up at the band and I'm jumping around for hours. So I guess I have the energy in there somewhere.
There are definitely days where I've walked a 5K after riding because I need to go to the showers or to food or whatever.
Yeah,
so, I wouldn't rule it out. But if you want to do a 5K, you need to plan that on your own. So, but more power to you, I say. As long as you're doing it safely and you're fueled up with, enough food and hydration. And you can ride the next day. So
yeah. Well, and maybe once we're done with this podcast, you can talk to Matt and maybe he'll be like, you know what? Absolutely not. Or he might say, you know what? Let's do it. So
I believe we talked about this one during the town hall and he said absolutely not.
Okay.
So I'm sorry for any of you out there who are hoping that would happen. But I guess you never say never. But
that's right.
Well, Murph, thank you so much for talking through all these questions from the October town hall with me. Riders, I encourage you to attend our November town hall. That will be November 13th at 6:30 p.m. Central. And again, you can find all the information about this town hall on the RAGBRAI website. I have a blog post there that kind of gives out all the details and how to register if you want to ask questions and get you ready for that. I myself will be there in attendance and Murph too, probably. So you'll be able to see us and ask all your questions. And again, if you ask a question during the town hall that isn't addressed, I bet we'll answer it on the Just Go Bike podcast.
Awesome. Well, thanks for letting me be part of it, AP.
My pleasure.
Well, listeners, that is it for today. We want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast. If you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe even you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook and watch our intros on YouTube. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. That is going to do it for this week. Until next time,
Just Go Bike!
Theme song by Ryan Steer, logo by Suzanne Milosevic, produced by Kathy Murphy, social media by Andrea Parrott, intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.